Check, check. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right. Shalom, Israel. Jubile Rasa. We're right here another, Tuesday night, the Brotherhood class. Of course, right here, Priest and Officer 500, Malakma. Got with here with me, young man, Davon. You know what I mean? We're right here. We're going to, do this brotherhood and bring this truth out, man. Bring out the truth of what the Bible is saying. You know what I mean? Bring out the truth of who we are as a people. You know what I mean? Because one thing, Davon, that a lot of our people don't want to hear, man. They don't want to hear that the Israelites. Black and brown do not believe that they're brothers. You know what I mean? Brothers out there in the world, we think we're two separate races of people. We think we're enemies with one another. Beefs happen. You know what I mean? Brothers rep rival hoods, rival gangs. Something goes down, and you think it's beef forever. You know what I mean? That it's an everlasting beef. That you never had peace between both sides. Street vendors get assaulted. You know what I mean? Police harass our people. Like there's no protection out there. It's just straight hell. You know. So of course, this is what we do in the ISUPK under Commander Johnny Yohana, which is to offer, to give that refuge for our brothers and sisters, to give the solution, which is part of it is brotherhood, man. One of the things why we're jammed up as a nation, right, is because for one, black and brown, like I said, we think we're two separate races of people when we don't realize we're brothers, man. We don't realize that we're going through the same oppression together, man. We both don't know who we are as a people. We go by what America tells us who we are. We copy the culture and lifestyle of America. You know what I mean? That lifestyle of crime, of getting high, of lying, stealing, robbing, taking your brother's woman, all that comes from America. You watch them movies, all them gangster movies. What do they do? They glorify that lifestyle when it comes to them. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've seen like them gangs like The Godfather and all that. I mean, growing up, I'm sure you know cats. What do they like to nickname themselves after? Right? Like a lot of cats like to call themselves Capone, Bugsy, right? But you know what I mean? So that's the reality of it, man. That a lot of what goes on, man. Like right now, man, it's something big going on, Davon. With the assault on the street vendors. I don't know if you see what's going on online. You know what I mean? And you see the hatred for both sides when those situations happen. You know what I mean? Of course, Issachar hates Judah. Judah hates Issachar because we like I said, we've been led to believe that we're enemies. We've been led to believe we're two different races of people. So that situation, you can look at the comment section on the video, right, of a street vendor assaulting, getting assaulted, and you see as Jeremiah Hyman brings out the internalized racism. You know what I mean? That Mexicans have towards black people, that black people have towards Mexicans. But here in the ISBK, we're here to, end that. We're here to keep the street vendors from getting assaulted. And it's crazy because it's not just Mexican street vendors that get assaulted. I seen a situation that happened, I believe, out there in the South, right? It was a brother that got assaulted, right? He was also a street vendor. I think he was selling, barbecue, right? Barbecue food, and they assaulted him, man. They robbed him. So it happens to, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, like what's not brought out is that a lot of people that assault the street vendors is other Mexicans as well. Go ahead. You want to say something? Oh, no. Okay, no sweat. So first of all, of course, the reason I bring all that out, right, or talk about it is because we want to, like people are quick to hate on the, or to hate on the black community for the assault on the street vendors. People are quick to hate on the Mexican community, for the Mexican community's anger towards the people, right, that do it. So then that just creates that whole tension. And then, it leads to more violence in the streets. It leads to gang beefs. You know what I mean? It leads to that black versus brown beef. We do these things because, once again, we don't realize that we're doing exactly what our oppressor wants us to do. We're doing what America wants us to do, which is to hate our brothers, which is to never forgive them and keep hating them forever. Meanwhile, we'll forgive the white man, no problem. We'll love America, no problem, So that's one thing that we want to end, right, is we got to decolonize our mind, which is separate our mind from the the brain manipulation of America. People always say, you come in here, you come to the truth that you're brainwashed. Damn right, you're brainwashed. Your brain is washed of all the colonization that America throws on you, all the indoctrination, all the programming, all the self-hatred, all the internalized racism. All of that is washed away here in the eyes who became man. So if you could, Aki, if you could, Bubba Kasha, could you pull for me the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21? What? I'm gonna pull it too and go and share it on the screen, man. Yeah, 18 and Salakia. 18 and 21. All right. Whenever you got it,
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times?
So Peter's talking to Christ, right? And he asked him, he said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Keep reading out, Bubba Kasha, the next verse.
Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him.
Salakia, can you go back to verse 22, Bubba Kasha, and read that one part one more time? Because this is heavy right here, what Christ said, right?
Jesus said unto him, say not unto thee unto 7 times, but unto 70 times 7.
So people, you know what I mean? People who don't know what the Bible's saying will think, right, that what Christ is saying is 70 times 7. You that's only 490 times you forgive your brother. Nah, that's not what Christ said. What Christ is basically telling Peter, what do you think Christ is telling Peter, Rock?
Sir, I'm going to take a shot at it.
Go ahead, Rock.
I think the way Peter went towards him, it was kind of like he was drained and he was mad at his brother.
Right.
And he went to Christ to say, how much should I endure? Like how many times should I continue to let this go on and forgive him? Because I think that he was still in the faith because, expecting to still trying to get forgiven from our own sins that we put. So I think it's kind of heavy that he went to him and asked him. But 7 times when Christ replied to him, he checked him. And
right.
Like 70 times 7, for forever, because that's your brother.
Right.
I mean? Like that's your brother. So
right.
You should do that. That's
right.
a must.
Right, that's basically what Christ says. Christ is checking him. He's telling him like, nah, forgive him until 7. He said until 7 times, nah, 70 times 7. Basically, he's telling them you should always forgive your brother when your brother trespasses against you. And there's a reason why people, of course, the Christian church has uses this, right, and teaches us to forgive our oppressor. Teaches us to think that our brother means, another nation, that it means America. When this is talking about your actual brother, which is another black or brown man, you know what I mean? Because what did Peter say? He says, how oft shall my brother sin against me, right? And right there is the clue that this is talking about Israelites, because the first clue, right, is he said, my brother. And then the other clue is the sin against me, right? Because what do we know sin? What do we know what sin is? Right. And who was given the law?
Israel.
Right. Damn right. And then brother, right? We know brother in the Bible is, we go to, the book of Leviticus. Leviticus tells you who your brother is. Right? I'm pull that one out. If you could, go to let's show these Christians what brother means. Because like I said, the Christian church will have you think that a brother is anybody. Yeah, anybody, the human race, right? So if you could, Bubba Kasha, Go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 17.
I got it. You want me to read it?
Yeah, kind of read it, mighty man.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
Thou shalt not hate who?
Thy brother in thine heart.
Keep reading.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not
Right.
suffer sin upon him.
Right. So there you have brother and sin again, right? Keep reading to now the next verse.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against thy children of thy people.
Against the children of who?
Thy people.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. Right? Keep reading that.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
Right. So there you go. Brother and neighbor is synonymous with another Israelite. And the proof is, right, it says, thou shalt not bear any grudge against the children of thy people. This is what Christ was referring to, right? That's why he was telling Peter, right, until 70 times 7, right? Let me shout out the chat real quick. God. Hey, young man Jay, shalom, maki yapashibakata. Officer Shabbat, hey, shalom, Madawan yapashibakata. Halak, hey, shalom, my Lord in Christ. You know, so that's what it's talking about. When, you know, forgiving your brother, it's talking about forgiving another Israelite, because we have a hard time in the nation of Israel forgiving our brothers. In your family, you know, you got aunts and uncles, you know, and your mother and your father, they don't, you know, especially in Hispanic families and brown families, you know what I mean? They'll hold grudges for years, man. Go whole, like a whole generation of not talking or dealing with one another because of some BS that happened. Some BS that happened, and now this side of the family does not talk to the other side of the family. And 20 years will go by, 30 years will go by. You know what I mean? A whole lifetime. And the only time everyone gets back together is when a family member passes away. Everybody gets together at the funeral, and then they're like, oh, they haven't seen each other in so long. They don't talk to each other. Now they got to talk to each other for that one situation, just because they didn't forgive them, right? Because they didn't forgive them for whatever trespass would happen, you know? So that's the whole point. Now, we gotta always, you know, you have an issue with somebody, you take them to counsel here in the ICBK, right? Your family does something, you know, your loved one does something to offend you, you go to them and them alone, and you let them know. And if they don't hear you, well, of course, you take them to counsel. Of course, in the world, it's a little bit more difficult to, you know, to take care of, because, you know, they don't have the truth. But in here in the UPK, if you have an issue with another brother or sister, you go to them and them alone. You tell them, you know, their fault, and if they hear you, you've gained them, right? It's all good. Now, if they don't hear you, if they, you know, like they think they did nothing wrong, well, then you take them to counsel. Then the council will decide, right, who's right and who's wrong. Now, if you could, here's a reason why you want to forgive your brother. You know what I mean? Why you want to forgive you always want to forgive your brother, right? If you could, I go to the book of Matthew 7:12. The water, yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 12. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
Right. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Right? So this is basically translated, right? Like it says, therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, that you would want men to do to you, right? What's that saying? Treat others the way you would want to be treated. Do ye even so to them? For this is the law and the prophets, right? Brotherhood, sisterhood, right? Doing you were doing something that you treating someone how you would want someone to treat you, you know? And that's why you should always forgive your brother, because there might come a time, right, when You might offend a brother, and you don't mean to, right? You just you don't intend to, but they're gonna come to you. They're gonna come to you and tell them you offended them, right? You will want them. You're gonna then apologize. You're gonna be like, Salakia, brother, I didn't mean that, right? Like I didn't mean it that way. Salakia. You will want that brother to forgive you and be like, okay, nah, we tawab now. Instead of having, instead of wanting to unalive you, instead of wanting, to bear a grudge against you. You know what I mean? You would want that brother to still have love and respect for you because you would have love and respect for him. So that's why if a brother comes to you with an issue, right, that you did him wrong, like you would want to apologize, right? If the brother does you dirty, you forgive him because if you accidentally did him dirty, you will want him to forgive you. You know what I mean? So that's important that we always practice that. That's where brotherhood and sisterhood, lies upon, right? That's that love, man, because things are gonna happen. You're gonna accidentally offend a brother and you don't mean to, you didn't intend to, but because if that was you on the other foot, you would want, that brother to hear you out and for it to stop and for you to forgive him, forgive each other and for y'all to be good. Locke said, no lie, concert plus Salakia, the demons, right? Demons put all types of thoughts in your head, try to get you to hate your brother, try to get you, to think all types of horrible things, right? That's why you go to him and him alone. You know what I mean? Because remember, a lot majority of the time, you're thinking your brother thinks something bad about you or has an issue with you. You're going to go talk to that brother. You're going to find there's no issue at all. That's just Satan playing with your head, you know? Young man Jay said, if I may, sir, precept, uh, I have a perfect precept, Proverbs 17 and 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity, right? So a friend, basically, that man that you forgive, you want to forgive you, and that man that you will forgive, right? That's the brothers that you're gonna go to war with, right? And how you gonna go to war together if y'all got a grudge with one another and y'all didn't squash that? As a matter of fact, it's in the Bible. Let's see if I can pull that precept out. What Christ said. It's the one where Christ is saying like if y'all have an issue, right? Leave the gift. I believe it says leave the gift at the altar and go resolve your issue first. See which one that is off the top of my head, man. Bear with me, Israel. Matthew 5. Might be, yeah. Let me look it up. Yeah, Matthew 5 and 23. Yeah, Khan.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse
So
23.
like, if you could, start at verse 22. Actually, this is heavy right here.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hell fire.
Right. So Matthew 5 and 22 says, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment, right? So you just hating on your brother, right? Y'all have a beef, y'all have a grudge that y'all haven't solved, right? And then you just going around, because you have an issue with that, but you're just going around spreading, gossiping about that brother, telling everyone how horrible he is, right? You're gonna be in danger of the judgment. If you say, you go around saying how horrible he is and how much you wish death and the, like you wish horrible things on him, you're gonna be in danger of the council. And then if you go around saying, he ain't shit, saying, like just putting him down, right? Now you're gonna be in danger of the hellfire. Because now you have you done made an enemy out your own brother, right? Now you're not have nobody to back you up. Now you're gonna be looked at as an enemy of the nation and of the school because you're showing what a shady person you are, in doing that. So now the next verse, right now, if you could, I'll read the next verse.
Verse 23. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother had aught against thee,
Right.
leave thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
Right. So basically, don't dwell on the issue, right? Get it solved quickly, resolve it. You know what I mean? Whatever offense, whatever issue you got with a brother, don't wait. You know, you think a brother offended you, go to him and him alone immediately. You know what I mean? Don't wait till later. Don't let days go by. Don't let a week go by because you're never going to resolve it. And then what's going to happen is the first two verses up, where you're going to have an issue with your brother without cause, and now you're going to look like you're just a hater and you're just an evil brother, gossiping and wishing bad. You know, like being unbrotherly, being wicked. You know, so that's why you want to resolve that issue quickly. You know, and you want to forgive the brother, right? And Khan, young man Jay, we're gonna bring that one out too. You know, young man Jay keep bringing all the heavy brotherhood precepts out, man. Let's go to First John. What is it? First John 3:15. Actually, I think it's First John 4:20. Let's go to First John 4:20. Yeah, go ahead, Ak, whenever you got it.
This is the book of First John, chapter 4, verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God, whom he hath not seen?
Right. So it says, if a man say, I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he have not seen? And that's heavy, because that shows that the Bible is a down to earth book. You know what I mean? And it's like there's science, there's all, you know what I mean? Like people always want to make the Bible like some black magical book when the Bible's down to earth. You know what I mean? It's reality and everything. Just right here with this simple, the Bible's logical. You know what I mean? How can you say you love God but you hate your brother, right? You never seen God, but that black and brown man you see every day, you hate him. That black and brown man that you see, you see walking up and down the street, that you think reps a different hood than you hate him. You're quick to go unalive him. You're quick to go rob him. You're quick to go, talk shit about him and say he ain't about nothing. And go ahead.
And 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 then on top of that, Jesus Jesus said this. Jesus said it's a commandment to love your brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a real cut, just to piggyback off what you were saying. You know,
Right.
like it's a commandment to love your brother, and for some Christians who say and always think that they showing love and executing love to people or to a so-called brother, and not and they greet you with kind words, but then they try to stab you in your back and whatnot. It's it's kind of crazy,
Right.
the Father is not in them,
Right. And it's crazy you say that because you mentioned the Christian church, because majority of people, what's crazy is that you see, and I'll talk about Mexicans. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of cholos out there, right? A lot of vatos out there, and they, all down for the hood, rep their set, and they'll go kill another Mexican, right? And at the same time, what do they have tattooed on them? They got that cross, the praying hands, the Virgin Mary, Cesar Borgia, right, with the crown of thorns, right? Which is all garbage, right? It's all idolatry. But the point is, they're getting those tattoos because they're trying to claim they love God. They all wear the rosary beads, with the cross, you know, And they're saying they're wearing that to say they love God, but at the same time they're gonna go kill another. They're gonna unalive another Mexican. They're gonna unalive another black man, right? They're saying they love God. They're doing that. They're showing that they hate God. Because what's the next verse say? You can read it from Rebbe Kasha.
And this commandment, verse 21, and this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God loveth his brother also.
Right. So this is a commandment have we from him that he who loveth God love his brother also. Right. And I think that's where young man Jay brought out 1 John 3:15. Right. Now we can go to First John 3:15. If you could, I'll pull that one for young man Jay.
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
Right. So whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him, right? Now, because basically, what is someone that unalives his brother like exhibit? Hatred, right? That's why you're killing that brown man, because you hate him. That's why you're killing that black man, because you hate him, right? And you don't have eternal life in you, because now you're unaliving people. Now that's gonna catch up with you, man. Now you done sinned against the Lord, right? If you could, I'll read the next verse.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 16. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brethren.
Right. That's what I'm. If you taking your brother's lives, right, you don't have the love of God in you, man. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brethren, right? That's a brotherhood that Christ taught, right? That you lay down your life for your brother, right? That's the ultimate love. What's that one scripture say? Greater love hath no man that a man laid down his life for his brother, right? Giving that ultimate sacrifice, right? It's twofold, because it's not only physical, but spiritually too, right? Like being here in the ISUPK, right? Like that's one thing we're trained to do as priests, to lay down our lives for our brothers, right? Especially you go through Hebrew Academy, but also, you know what I mean, like picking up that phone. You had a whole day planned, right? You had things to do, and your brother calls you because he needs you. Sacrificing that time to go be with your brother, go help your brother. That's another example of laying down your life, right? Because you will want that done for you. You will want, if you were in some emergency, you were jammed up, you will want to call your brother and see that he comes and comes to your aid, right? And that's the whole thing that Christ is teaching, right? It's you're doing this because you will want this to be done to you, man. That's love right there. It's respect. And what's that saying? Respect goes a long way, man. That's one thing. That's why we suffer the way we do, Davon, because we don't have that in our nation. We've been taught to not have respect for one another. You know why? Because we respect the white man. We respect the el hombre blanco, el gringo. We respect them instead of hating them and loving our brother. And everyone's going to hear me say that and think that I'm being on some racial, being racist or being a bigot. But I'm just telling you, hate them and not loving them. Meaning you don't act like them. You don't sleep with his woman. You don't, follow his religion and follow his holidays. That white man hates you on your job. He doesn't do nothing you do. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that he, like that. Well, I don't know if I want to say that, but let me say this. He sees you every day at your job, at your slavery while you work, right? He works right there with you. He says hi to you. You make jokes or whatever because you got to deal with one each other all day. But you're cordial with one another. But at the end of the day, he goes to his people. At the end of the day, you should go to your people. You shouldn't be trying to be all buddy buddy with the white man. You saw what happened this Sunday, right? You saw that Edomite, that oppressor that went into that liquor store and unalived those three people. He was trying to go into, I believe, he was trying to go into a college, right, and shoot up the college. Best believe he, whatever job he had, there was black people on that job, and he was saying hi to them and smiling to them. Probably all buddy buddy, making all the jokes he could with them. But at the end of the day, when he went home, he was probably going on that, what's that called, that 8chan or whatever that website is that them white supremacists have, where he probably goes on Instagram and Facebook and sees all the posts, about, like Black Lives Matter, all the black movements, all the brown movements, and probably hates them, probably goes in there and trolls and says some racist, makes his racist comments, lets it be known how much he hates black and brown, right? Point I'm saying is that, when you hating your oppressor, I'm not telling y'all to go harm them. I'm not telling y'all to be disrespectful and be, spit in their faces. Be cordial, be professional. But at the end of the day, love your people, love your nation first, man. That's what you do. And that's what we have a hard time understanding that, Davon. And the proof of that is when Donald Trump said what he said about Mexicans and you had a Latinos for Trump. You know what I mean? Donald Trump said what he said about black people. He said what he said about Colin Kaepernick, and you had a lot of black pastors pray over him for one. Then you had, black conservatives that sided with Trump. After everything he said about both our communities, right? We go and support him instead of saying, F him. Let's not support him, right? Every other nation, if that would have happened, if he would have said something about the Chinese, you know that damn well the Chinese will not stand. You will never see a Chinese for Trump. You will see the Chinese leave the what's it called, whatever that's called, the government offices. You know what I mean? Like whatever. If there was a Chinese Republican, he would quit right there on the spot. You know what I mean? If Donald Trump said what he said about the Chinese, it's crazy. Like other you see how the other nations, you don't have to teach them to love their people. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, there was also that story. What was that story about the two sailors, right? The two Chinese sailors or Asian sailors that were caught. Not to sidebar, but because it ties into what we're talking about here, right? They were caught spying for China. They joined Esau's military to help the Chinese. Meaning, even in joining Esau's military, they didn't go against their own people, man. We join Esau's military and we go against our own, man. Because a lot of the Latinos for Trump, a lot of the people that supported Donald Trump that are Mexican and black are our military veterans. They served in Esau's military. They love America, man. They'll tell you to go back to Mexico if you don't like it here. You know what I mean? When that man saying that it looks about as indigenous, you know what I mean? As he could look, brown and everything. And he's telling other Mexicans to go back to Mexico if they don't like it here. Talk about the brainwashing and manipulation, man. That's that's that mark of the beast, man. I wanted to show a couple clips, right? Because I wanted to give the example of what, the forgiveness Christ was talking about meant, right? And that was heavy because it had to do with what we're talking about. So of course he's doing live right now. Whatever this brother's got going on, but he has some heavy, things where he saw like the people apologizing because I want to show you what it means to forgive. What a good example of that forgiveness is. Let's see if I can share this on the TV for you out. Let's see. Bear with me, Israel. I'm gonna just share the screen. Here we go. All right. Of course, this is a brother, man. He's like an activist for street vendors, right? And there was a couple videos he showed that was heavy, man. That I thought would be heavy to demonstrate that whole like what it means to forgive your brother. As you see, there's a lot of like because he's a street vendor activist. So I just wanted to find the one where the lady's coming back and apologizing. Might be this one right here.
Sandra, we didn't cross the border! Oh, what's up? We just want to hear on the party. No gaslighting, please.
I don't.
So what did I mention earlier, right in the scripture where it says, "He that hates his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment and of the council and of the hellfire." Now she's going through it because she hated on a street vendor without cause.
Can you say sorry to him? He's right here.
He knows.
No, we want an
You
apology.
know what? If that's what he wants to hear is an apology,
A sincere
that's what
apology.
you want to hear, then you know what? I'm sorry that I didn't communicate with him better.
Bring it out. Real quick. Hey, yo, please. Hey, yo, pick it up. Guys, look. Nothing that you're saying, whatever you said to that vendor, nothing justifies it. You cannot tell someone to go back to Mexico. First of all, street vendors do pay taxes, okay? They pay taxes. You understand me? Senate Bill 972, Senate Bill 946, legalize street vending across the California state. What you did today, antagonizing a vendor 6 times in a row, telling them to go back to Mexico, condescendingly, honestly, and then hearing all the stories from your neighbors, you're a nuisance. And also, the city of Long Beach, if you want to talk about the law, the city of Long Beach only allows 4 dogs per household. You have 13 back there with no water and no food.
Oh, see, that's the judgment, the council. See how the Lord is work. You try to expose.
Let her get out, please. All right, guys, let her get out.
See, and this is black and brown. Come together, right?
So what? These dogs last for hours.
Whoa, that part.
So I want to say this real quick, right? How the scripture said, "Whoever hates on their brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment and of the council and of the what I mean, of the hellfire." She's going through it right now because of what she did, right? But you know what she did? She apologized, and that's in the community after that they let her, you know what I mean? They forgave her. They didn't harm her. They didn't speak evil after she apologized. That was it. You know what I mean? That's an example of the forgiveness Christ was talking about. That's where, because it's someone of your own nation that does you wrong, right? You forgive them and you move on, right? Especially when they admit that they were wrong.
People argue every day, but when you start adding stuff like go back to Mexico and that you don't pay taxes, that you're not only you're creating a stigma against street vendors that is not true, but you're also attacking a man's
And
livelihood.
that's why I'm saying I'm sorry, because you're right, and I don't know about those laws.
You didn't say you were
I didn't
sorry.
know about. I did say I'm sorry. I said it many
Did you
times
say it on him?
that I didn't communicate with him better, so that we could have had a better relationship. I've been buying tamales from him since he was about 10 years now. I am sorry because he went ahead and he did this to me, which is important because unity does change things.
Yeah, it does.
Mujer para aceptar mis responsabilidades y decir que me equivoqué de la forma que yo me comporté con él. Por eso le estoy pidiendo disculpas. I can translate back and forth, si quieren les traduzco para que todos me escuchen, pero yo no quiero que ustedes piensen que yo estoy aquí.
Look, I know it's. I just gotta say one thing. We've been doing this for a long time. it takes a lot for people like her who did that to actually come out and talk to us, right? A lot of them, and a lot of them are men.
Yeah.
A lot of white men, they hide in their house and they call the cops.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to give it up for her for actually coming out and showing her face. And also, I know you guys really want to go hard on her, but you're not the one that's gonna come back here tomorrow and the next day. Antonio is. Antonio is the vendor, so let's do this for the best interest for him. We're not saying that we're gonna give her a whole pass and all that. In time, we will see going forward, right? My boy Antonio is still gonna be passing by. He's still gonna be honking his little horn. The dogs are still gonna be barking, but we're gonna see.
Hold it up, please. Hold it up. Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who came to the previous protest. 2 in 1 day. This is how we hold them accountable.
all right? So y'all better be loud, because Oakland was pretty loud, all right? We just came back from Oakland. When I say protect, you say street vendors. Protect! Protect! Protect!
Oh, and Adrian, you're not welcome back to LA.
Aquí no estás en México, estás en los Estados Unidos.
Sandra, we didn't cross the border!
So that was one example. Here's another one that I wanted to show, that was pretty heavy, man, because that one was pretty good. Is it this one right here? No, here's another. See, this is the self-hate. And that's what I do want to bring out, that, like, you see these incidents happen, right? That we do it too. Like, everyone goes through it. And this is actually we're gonna go more into talk about having like loving your enemies. But the video I wanted to find, let's see, where's it at?
If I may,
Go ahead,
the respect and the respect for that lady, like that little young guy,
Yeah.
like this upcoming Christianity.
Right.
You don't know which way to move, how to direct, his emotions, his feelings, and whatnot. If he had the love, he would respect that woman like a mother.
No English.
Right.
And that's the thing that brotherhood, sisterhood, our whole nation, I feel as though we tend to lack guidance or how to deal with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? So brotherhood is a weapon, you know what I mean? And to be taught right, such as great men like yourself, and the ones above us.
Hey, Most High Christ, that
it will always be a blessing,
Man, like, I can only strive to be like the men above me, but it's brothers like yourself that come in here, man. You know what I mean? That says a lot more, man. And brothers like yourself is what we do this job, man. You know what I mean? So just, man, keep doing this. I can, Lord allow, man. Still, man, being here, you gonna be the brother up in here teaching, man. You know what I mean? That's what the men above me had told me. He said, one day you gonna be up here teaching class, man. Well, one day you're gonna be up here teaching class, you know what I mean, and expound on on that brotherhood, on the law, like all these things. They all go hand in hand, But definitely we need to push that whole of forgiving your brother, and knowing that to forgive your brother isn't talking about forgiving the white man for what he did. You know what I mean? There was the video. Where's that video at, man? Bear with me, Israel. I'm just trying to find that video because it was heavy. Oh, is this one? Is it this one right here? I don't think it's that one. Because I know we pressed for time's sake. I'm gonna end it at 8:46. Is that too wild for you? That work for you? Okay. So we got like about 16 minutes. Was it this one? That's not it. All right, no sweat. Was it this one? I wasn't that one. Let's go into the book of Matthew 5:43, right? Because what we just showed, right? We're gonna give the examples, right, of what's going on. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 43. Yeah, Con, whenever you got it.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 43. You have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy.
Right. So once again, one question, not when Christ was speaking, right? What was he referring to? What was his reference?
He was speaking. He was speaking from the prophets of old, Moses.
Con, right? From what would be called or the Old Testament, right? He was reading from the Old Testament. And well, it's not, you know what I mean? Because of course people are gonna think like, get confused by that bit. Meaning Matthew 5:43 didn't exist when this was happening, right? He was reading from the books, from Leviticus right here, actually, as we showed earlier, right? So what does it say? It says, "Ye have heard it, that it have been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy." And that's how you know, right? That right there, like when it says hate thine enemy, Christians always think that this means you got to love the oppressor. My question to y'all out there, right? Y'all Christians out there, is you don't think we are enemies to ourselves? I can play you an example of that right now. Now I'm gonna play that video of this guy right here, right? I think I shared it last week, but here's another example of self-hate, right?
Manny and Julie and the Sin City family. Hey, ¿qué están vendiendo allí? Hot dogs? Huh? That's first.
I don't know. I seen a video, a short of a police officer telling one of the vendors to put his hand behind his back. He doesn't want to. He puts on his.
Oh, yeah?
Seen it or no?
No. What happened? It happened here or where?
Yeah, right there. He's telling him, "Hey, I need to know if you got your permit. Where's your ID?" And the guy's like, "No." He's walking away. He's like, "Hey, I told you come here. That's it. Get your ass behind your back. Get your ass. I'm talking to you. I'm gonna tase your ass. I'm gonna tase your ass."
All that?
And the guy's like,
"Oh, crazy, right?" He's talking about another
You're just, oh my goodness.
"Oh, we just passed our freaking turn because you're freaking."
AJ Jordan.
Well, joke's on them. Jose is out on bond. And remember the barbershop that helped out that little girl yesterday at the swap meet? Well, they've been also helping out the family. The owner's actually part of the board of directors for UVA, and they're having a buyout at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And if you're in Las Vegas, come through and support.
Yo.
So that's one, right? And then recently, you just had another incident, right? This one's been all over the internet too. Let me see if I can find that. I'll put that one in the chat. Here it goes. We just had this right here that happened, right? This is all over the internet right now. circulating out there. And let me point this out. The brother that came to that Mexican brother getting jumped, right, was a Judite. This is the brother that did it, that came to his aid, man, and helped the brother, right? So this is a Judite brother right here, right? And there was a Mexican in the crowd that did it. So people take these. I say that to say this: people take these instances, right? Oh, I didn't even share the screen. Damn. Just the brother that came to that brother's aid, right? To that, I believe it was an Issachar brother, is a Judite. So I mean, that's another instance, right? That's what Christ was talking about, loving your enemies, because we look at them groups of folk and think they're our enemies, you know what I mean? Mexicans will look at these group of black men and think they're enemies, you know what I mean? When a black man came to the brother's aid, and there was a brown man in that group that jumped that brother, man. So that's what Christ was talking about. That's the love your enemies. Now, if you could, read for me the rest of that. Sure.
Verse 44.
Get con.
But I say unto you, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 44. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you.
Did we not just witness that right now, Locke? What does it say? But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. You saw the video of the brother, man, talking horrible about, his own people. You see the video of black and brown going at it with each other. Is it not clear that we're each other's enemies? Is it not clear that we don't have the power to forgive one another? you know? This is why Christ came and taught what he taught. You know? You know what I mean? Shalamanya, Shalom, Yahweh Shema, Alata Bashim Yahweh. Young man Brian, Shalankana, Yahweh Bashim Barakata. Yakawan, my man, Shalankana, Yahweh Bashim Barakata. Manalik, Gutierrez, Shalankana, Yahweh Bashim Barakata. What did young man Brian say? Right, Manalik. Manalik said that's self-hate. She hates her natural hair because the sister had pink hair in there. I mean, what other type of women dye their hair pink? White women, that's their whole thing. Then what this brother say says, Salaki, sir, have you seen the story of the artist Yaritza and how she looked down on street vendors and their food from Mexico? Khan, young man Brian, yeah, Khan, I seen that. We spoke about it last Monday on our podcast, La Pura Neta. You know what I mean? Which is another example, right, of that self-hatred. You know what I mean? So that just comes to show you, it comes to show you how, we suffer from that and why Christ said what he said. Right? Why he's saying to love your enemies. These are the enemies that he's telling you to love, man. Because people have a hard time forgiving these people. You know what I mean? This turns into the self-hatred. This turns into the, F, F, F these black folk, F these Mexicans. That's what it turns into, Mexican killer, that's what they say, and Salai say nigger killer, for the opposite end. But that's the reality of it. Yeah, we suffer from lack of knowledge. But that's what it turns into, and then it leads to more bloodshed on the streets. It leads to, us getting oppressed more because at the same time that's happening, our neighborhoods are getting gentrified. More violence is going on in the streets, more gang violence, more retaliation. The police come and lock all the young black and brown men up, more broken homes. People leave and then they come and gentrify your neighborhood. These other heathens come in and take your neighborhoods from you, man. And Khan, what do you say? Yeah, Khan, yeah, she's a part of the the alphabet community, Carnal. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It sounds so esencia. But yeah, Manalik said we suffer from a lack of knowledge. Damn right, Doc. We definitely do, man. And Khan. But that's the whole thing that Christ was talking about. Now, if you could, we're gonna go to the book of Luke, chapter 7, verse 27. We're gonna hit two more precepts and then we'll close out.
Chapter 7, verse 27.
Khan.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 7, verse 27. This is he of whom it is written.
Or
Behold,
Salakia. I might have the wrong precept. It's not 7 or 27. Go down to verse 36.
this is the book of Luke, chapter 7, verse 36.
Nah, yeah, Salakia. That might not be it. Yeah, nah, Salakia. We just Salakia. Go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 54.
Deuteronomy 28.
Yeah, 28 and 54.
The book of Deuteronomy, verse 28, chapter 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother.
Right. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, right? The brother that is, wouldn't harm you, right? People hear tender and delicate and think effeminate, but nah, this is talking about the brother that wouldn't harm you, that would be loving towards you, that would be brotherly towards you, that would be very delicate, will have class dealing with you. You know what I mean? Dealing with you in a respectable way, in an honorable way, right? Keep reading out.
His eye shall be evil towards his brother.
Right. It's saying his eye shall be evil towards his brother, right? Did we not just see that going on? Not in those past videos that saw you saw an example of the eyes one brother had towards another as being evil. When you saw the brother in the car with his rib, right, and how evil they were talking towards that street vendor, man. His eye was evil towards his brother. Them kids were not, tender and delicate with that other brother, man, that other young kid, right? That sister was persecuting that other street vendor when he was, just trying to make a living, man, trying to make, that's the thing that kills me, Davon, is that they say all these things about our street vendors, try to say that they're here illegally and that they're leeching on the system, and then harass them when they're right there literally trying to make their own money. They're right there feeding people, man. They're out there, like helping the community, and they get persecuted for that. you know? If you could, Carnal, keep reading.
And towards the wife of his boss, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Right, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Right, you're evil towards your brother, right? Meaning, you're gonna be evil towards your right wife. If you don't love your brother, you're not gonna love your wife and kids. You mean basically saying you hate all your people, and especially your children, right? Which is why, like part of the reason why there's a lot of fatherless homes. But it goes twofold because the women are also, being, not being loving towards, it goes twofold, not being loving towards their husbands, kicking them out, cheating on them, vice versa. The husband just, being whoremongers, sleeping with women and then leaving them, So that just shows you why you see these things going on. These things happen and people don't understand why, they think people are just being ignorant, not realizing that we're suffering the curses, man. We're suffering the curses because we don't serve our God. We don't love our brothers as ourselves, man. And when we don't do that, we suffer, man. We're jammed up. Manalik said, "Who doesn't love Mexican food?" Everybody loves Mexican food.
That's right.
Everybody loves the elotes, the fruit, the cups of fruit, man. All that, man. With the tahine and all that. It's a lot here. We're gonna close it out with the last precept. Well, we're gonna close it out right here, Rock. Press for time's sake. But for that, man, that concludes tonight's Brotherhood class. Of course, we started late. Lord allow, man. Next week, we'll start on time. Of course, we got the Spiros Con, young man Brian. You know what I mean? But of course, we're the ISUPK. Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Stay tuned, Raza. Stay tuned, Israel. Stay tuned for our podcast tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. La Pura Neta on YouTube. The channel is called UPK La Pura Neta Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tune into our show. Comment. Call in. We have a call-in number and everything, man. Let us know what you think, man. But, man, the water to you, man, Elite. The water for you, brothers, man, tuning in and coming here and doing this truth, man. We got our One West Radio every Thursday night at 8 p.m. But more importantly, come to class, Israel. Come to class, Rasa. Come to class, black man and brown man and woman, black man and woman. Come to class and learn this truth, man. Learn how to love your brother as yourself, man. You know what I mean? But with that, we're going to close the class. Yahweh Shem Shai Barakatah to the Carnales. Yahweh Shema Alatah Bashem Yahweh Shai to the Mujeres, right? So to black and brown, brothers and sisters, Shalom. Shalom, Israel.